Hey, thank you for joining me for another segment of my Tuesday Tidbits with Dr. Gina Lynn. So here's the deal. Many of us have heard about the 80-20 principle. It's a principle that was introduced by an Italian economist, Pareto, back in about, let me see, when was that? I should look that up before I came on, but nevertheless, it was introduced by an Italian economist, Pareto, and what his principle kind of captured is this notion of observing one day that about 20% of his crop was actually producing 80% of his results. And he just really wanted to hone in and figure out what's going on with this 20% so that I can replicate their results, right? And so then that 80-20 principle has been adopted in industries and various sectors, professional sectors, where people began to look at their employees to determine which of the 20% of their 100% employees were actually giving them the most results. And they would strategize and make hiring decisions and firing decisions accordingly. This idea that if 20% of our 100% pie was producing 80% of the results, then we need to give more attention to the 20%. We ever considered applying the 80-20 principle to our lives? Like really stepping back from our lives objectively and considering what are the 20% of the 100% pie that actually produces 80% of the fulfillment, of the productivity, of the happiness, of the joy, of the peace. Like, what are the 20% of variables in our lives that actually give us 80% of the results? I say, who are your 20% pleasure people? That's what I call them. The 20% of people out of the 100% of people that you engage with that actually give you great pleasure in your life. Like your presence lights up when they come around. You're just glad when you see their name come across the phone. Every engagement with them is pretty much an added value type of experience. Who are those 20% of people? Like really thinking through that. Who are the friends, the family members, the colleagues, the co-workers, the church family members? Like, who are they? The business strategists, the mentors, our mentees that actually give you 80% are the most percentage of happiness and meaningfulness in your life. It may look like you considering your activities and really thinking through what are the 20% of activities that actually give most fulfillment to my life. Like, really considering like what are the things that I'm hesitant about doing, reluctant about doing, kind of doing it out of obligation, don't really want to engage in that, but maybe I have a membership already, or maybe I told them that I was going to be a part of that team, or maybe I was going to, I said I would commit and at least do it for a year. For some of those things, we have to step back and say, how can I responsibly go back and be in integrity to myself and perhaps to those that I've made a commitment with, and acknowledge that, I originally thought this was a good idea to engage in, be a part of, be committed to, but in hindsight, it's not really my best alignment of my time right now. And it allows you then to begin to create the free space to say, now these are the things that bring me happiness, or these are the things that I find meaningful. Maybe that's volunteering at a senior citizens home, or working on your creative project, or giving time to your business plan, or mentoring some youth, or serving at some school or in some ministry. Like the activities are wide open, and only you can really determine what gives you meaning or pleasure or joy or relaxation. But the overarching kind of thought is, what are the 20% of activities that give you the most added value in your life? And how do you then begin to rearrange your life to include more of that? So then here's some other simple things, like something as simple as our clothes, right? I once heard a huge personality say, only wear that which makes you feel alive, like it puts some spunk in your step when you put it on, right? So perhaps you've been one of those people, especially as we near the end of the year, who's been saying, I need to get rid of some of this stuff, but you haven't really had an assessment matrix on what to get rid of, because some of the things are brand new, some of the things are your smaller size, that's your goal, or your bigger size, that's your safety net, or you don't really know how to determine. But what if you kept the 20% of things that you just absolutely love, that when you put those things on, it just gives you lots of joy and pleasure, and you know you wear it over and over again because it's comfortable, it's good, it feels like a second skin on your body. Those shoes put a little extra spring to your step. Now, some of us would struggle with trying to get rid of 80% of our stuff, myself included, but you get the general idea. Like, what gives you what 20% of things, your possessions, give you the greatest amount of pleasure? And we see some of that with the swing towards tiny homes, where people have bought into the idea that bigger is not always better, and spending their finances on something huge that they really don't even spend much time in is not what gives them the most pleasure. They prefer to travel. Travel is what gives them happiness. So now they rearrange what they buy. They rearrange their money, right, to invest in the things that give them the most pleasure. So they go with a tiny home, and then they take the bigger portion of their budget to go out and travel, because travel is what gives them pleasures. Where is the 20% of our finances that are giving us the better results? Are we then investing more there? Are we taking the time to really assess that? I had to do that recently and ended up, quick plug to one of my friends. I'll tell you who he is so you can support him too. Mr. Adrian Cornelius with State Farm. Like, in just doing some assessments of my finances and what was earning me the most, I was like, I need to do a quick switch here and kind of open up this money market account, because the interest rate over here would give me better results, better returns on my money that's sitting over here. So again, looking at what I'm doing with my finances and what would give me the most productivity on my money, right? Because I'm trying to stack my change, y'all. So yeah. Because here's the deal. We all know, pretty much, depending on what you believe, we get one go round. One life is what my brother told me years ago. And we want to ensure that with our minutes, with our hours, with our moments, with our days, with our weeks, God forbid, longer and longer, with our years, that we're not just wasting that, doing a whole lot of meaningless stuff for us. It doesn't mean that it's not meaningful. It's just not always meaningful for us. And giving ourselves the freedom, giving ourselves the permission to really step back and say, not going to give my time, my energy, my effort to that, going to spend more of it here. This would be a really good time to look just maybe at this year and kind of see, who did I spend my time with as it relates to people? And who made me really, really happy? Who added value? Who helped me grow? Who challenged me? Who gave me insight and wisdom? What were some of my best conversations? And how can I be intentional about giving more of my space to that? What activities broadened me, expanded me, caused me to get a different perspective, caused me to feel really loved and valued? What activities challenged me, caused me to grow? How can I give more of my time and energy to that? My possessions, those things that require a lot of my finances or my time or my energy, what's really valuable that I should keep? And what perhaps should I begin to exchange or get rid of or sell or give away? What meaningful endeavors were I engaged in? Or did I find myself just kind of shooting the breeze a lot or wasting a lot of time? How can I give more time to serving, to God, to visions and projects and causes and movements that inspire me, that's challenged my thinking, that again cause me to grow? How can I step up in leadership or contribute more in a productive, positive way to society? My finances, am I balancing them? Am I giving more to those things that are productive? My savings and my investing and my mutual funds and my stock, and doing less with Sister Amazon and Brother eBay and those types of things, right? And no knock against that. Just challenging us to really put 20%, to really know where the 20% of productivity is coming from in our lives and give more energy to that. And then, of course, our time. Like, what are we doing with our time? that's meaningful, that will last. So I hope that this 80/20 in our lives and these tangible examples help you to really begin to think through as we near the end of this year and a decade and about to start 2020, really sorting through, if we're going into 2020, what are the 20% of things that give value to my life, and how can I then realign my life to give more of my time, energy, effort, and emotions there. As always, I honor the greatness in you. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to share a bit of yourself with me. As always, if you would subscribe and share, I appreciate you. Have a fantastic rest of the week. Bye now.